Hi, I'm Steph Stillwell. I'm an illustrator and art director living in Brooklyn, New York. So I got into illustration a very long time ago. Like ever since I was a kid, I was always drawing. There were a lot of Christmases that my parents gave me art kits and different supplies, and I loved to redraw comics and copy from art that I loved. And then by the time I got to high school, I was taking every art class possible: sculpture, photography, painting. I even ran out of classes to take. And so then I went to college, and while I was there, I think I just realized that I could put my art on so many different things. Greeting cards, books, and it could find its way into other people's homes and lives. So that was really what got me into illustration. Puns being such a big part of my work, I took a patterns class, and the assignment was to make a couple of patterns that go together, and we could really do whatever we want. And I don't know what the inspiration was, but I was like, I'm gonna draw some peaches in underwear and some melons in bras and give them honey titles. So it was juicy and melons. And I just remember being so nervous to show the class, but my teacher thought it was the funniest thing ever. And I think that was the first time where I was like, oh, I can make people laugh through my art. So that's definitely where the puns started. And food is just such a universal language. Everyone shares food. There's some that's nostalgic and iconic, and it's the reason why I do a lot of New York foods in my art. Illustrating for children chose me more than I chose it. When I was in college, a lot of people kept telling me you should do children's books. Your art makes a lot of sense for that, but I took a lot of classes that were related to children's books, and it was just not how my brain worked at the time. I was more happy doing patterns and putting my art onto products. But then fast forward a few years, I've graduated, I need a job, and the first thing I land is in children's books. And I think it really worked out in the perfect way, because I think I needed to learn the full process in and out of how to make children's books before I ended up there. Plus, when I was in school, I think I didn't want anyone to tell me what to do. So when everyone was like, draw for kids, I was like, my art's for everyone. It doesn't have to just be for kids. So it's just sort of a happy accident that this is where I've ended up. Having so much time in the children's book industry really helped me understand the full package. And I think that has helped me kind of discover my voice more firmly. So A Pizza to My Heart, the circle shape board book that I did, I don't know that I would have ever even known that was a possibility if I didn't work in publishing. So my proudest project is definitely A Pizza to My Heart. It is the first time that I wrote and illustrated something completely my own idea. There was just a day where I was like, I want to do a children's book about pizza, and I knew I wanted it to be shaped. I originally wanted it to be shaped like a slice, but it just physically couldn't work as a book that way, and so I kept working at it and landed on it being a circle-shaped book. And it just combined all my favorite things: food, puns. It's a great way for a kid and their caregiver to connect. It was the first book that had all of those things, and everything else kind of came after that. So funny story, whenever I read this book to kids, I always ask them what their favorite topping is, and a lot of times they say mushrooms, which is just not what I would guess a kid would say is their favorite, but it's always so fun to hear what the kids pick. Wearing all these different hats, art director, illustrator, designer, has really helped me understand the process as a whole. So if I'm working with an illustrator, I know what it's like for them because I'm an illustrator. If I'm on the other side of a book, I understand what my art directors are going through, and it really helps with the process to know. There's a lot of things that all come together to sort of make my voice, and I think it has really overflowed into my aesthetic as well. My organization, the color choices, that is definitely the designer in me. And it reflects in my home, how I dress, my like accessories. It's sort of the through line through it all. My environment is super important to how I'm creating. I think I've always known that if I'm having fun and I'm cozy and I'm happy, I'm gonna make the best version of my work. So it's like a lot of the reason why I've spent so much time trying to make my apartment feel so me and so comfy and cozy. Because if I'm feeling stuck, I can look around. I have a lot of inspiration surrounding me, all the books that I collect, and movies, and all sorts of different things I can look to just in my own house. When I'm juggling a lot, I am not always the best at finding the good work-life balance. It can get really hard when your job is also your passion to not just be excited and want to do all the things all the time. But what I try to do is physically separate my rest time from my work time. So it is really important for me to leave all of my work at my desk in my office area and like come out to my living room and rest and relax and be comfortable. It is super important to have a comfortable place to get away from the work and fully reset. I have a lot of local spots that I love to go to when I need inspiration. One of my favorite things to do is to take my sketchbook to a coffee shop and just doodle and kind of like listen to what's going on around me, and I'll write like funny things in speech bubbles or be inspired by the people that are around me. But I also love Awesome Brooklyn down the street from me. We've collaborated on some patterns and they just have the best gifts whenever I'm like in a pinch and need to get something for a friend. And then Annie's Blue Ribbon General Store is another favorite of mine. I just like love the collection of stuff that they have. And I recently did a window with them over the summer. That was really fun. I like to take my sketchbook to Prospect Park too and sit on a bench and draw. There's just a lot of really nice nature. There's so many cute dogs, and, like cool people with fun outfits. So it's nice to go there for inspiration too, especially if I need a little bit of like a city detox nature moment. Another way that I like to relax is by cooking. It's a really low stress way for me to still be creative. I like to make the plates look cute, and I'm taking time to be creative in a way that's different than my job, which is super helpful. And at the end of it, I have a yummy meal. So it's another way I like to find to be creative without it being a job. I love Yamazaki home products because they fit into my space so effortlessly. The way they're designed, they're so clean and sleek, and so they really can go anywhere in my apartment. But it also means that they're really versatile and they'll stay with me forever. I just think they're evergreen and long lasting, so even as my style evolves, they're always gonna fit. In my kitchen, I love using Yamazaki home products to organize in different ways. So my storage cart that I keep next to my sink is, one, my favorite color, yellow, but I keep all my cleaning supplies in there so they're easy to access but hidden away, and it conveniently covers a really ugly part of my cabinet that I don't want people to see. I also have the dish rack and the collapsible bottle dryer. And they're just the perfect size for a Brooklyn-sized apartment to wash my dishes and dry them off there after. And I keep a little sponge organizer in the sink that's Yamazaki home, and it's just so cute and kind of frees up space on my countertop. And then I think my favorite thing that I have in the kitchen from Yamazaki home is the storage caddy that's magnetic, and I keep it on the side of my fridge for all my sauces. So when I'm trying to unwind and cook, everything is kind of right where it needs to be, and it all just looks so cute in such good colors for my apartment. In my cabinet, I also have a pull-out shelf from Yamazaki home, and it helps me organize my cabinet that previously was a little bit chaotic. It makes cooking really easy. I can just access everything so much easier now. This is the leaning storage ladder, which I love to put my favorite blankets on display, and it's a really nice way to invite any of my guests to grab a blanket if they want to feel cozier. My favorite organizational trick is to put things into baskets and figure out whether you want them to be on display baskets or put away baskets. As someone who has a ton of knickknacks and just stuff in general, when I moved into this apartment, I started to feel like there was too many things everywhere, and so I needed to kind of group them and put them in a more dedicated space. I love to collect little tiny things, and so I got these printers drawers, and that became a good place to put all my small knickknacks instead of them being scattered everywhere. My advice for illustrators who are up and coming or at any point in their career, I think the most important thing to remember is to be yourself. It is a saturated, space out there, and so if you can stand out and just be authentically you, I think that's the most important thing. And it can be tricky when you're first starting out because you're getting clients and you feel like you need to fulfill the brief however they want, but there is usually always a way that you can get a little bit of yourself into that project too. The whole reason that you got hired is because that client saw your work and wanted you to be the one to do it. And so I think that is the most important part, is to just never lose yourself in the work, because the stronger voice you have, I think just the more success you'll